What's on my top 10 favorites list of all time? Let's find out. Hey, welcome to the First Line Library. I hope you're all doing well. And if you're able to, grab yourself a drink, hot or cold, whatever will help you unwind and relax. All right, top 10 lists. I think most book lovers have some sort of favorites list. But if you're like me, that list can change from time to time. And of course, in typical Jordan fashion, I cannot arrange them in any kind of order. This is a blend of fantasy, general fiction, and mystery thriller. Let's get into it. So, number 10 I have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the quintessential fantasy book. It follows the beloved Hobbit, Bilbo Baggins, as he journeys with Thorin and company on a whimsical ride to reclaim their mountain. This book has a ton of charm, and you really get the sense of being transported right into Middle-earth. Number 9, Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. This is the first entry into the Bound and the Broken series. What a fun ride this Dragon Rider fantasy series is. Of Blood and Fire is set in Etheria, and it follows Caitlin Briar and his two friends Dan and Rist as they are thrust into a world full of war and ruin. Will Caitlin become who others think he should be, or will he choose his own path? Next up, for number 8, is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. What a highbrow political fantasy set in Westeros. Another first entry to a fantasy series, A Song of Ice and Fire. Martin brilliantly lays out a world full of complex characters and betrayal. Told from multiple point of views, you will love to hate certain characters and find out who you are rooting for to make it to the end. Number 7, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is the OG of whodunits that follows 10 strangers lured to Indian Island by an unknown host. Upon arrival, each guest has been accused of murder. Sinister plans unfold, and there is a race to find this mysterious person. Christie has great character work and a twist you won't see coming. All right, jumping to number 6 with The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. The Way of Kings is the first in the Stormlight Archive. It is a modern fantasy novel. The story revolves around a cast of wonderfully written characters with a magic system unlike any other in fantasy. In the world of Roshar, you are introduced to Shallan, Dalinar, and Kaladin, and see how their destinies unfold. Number 5, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. In this fantasy, we follow the gifted Kavoth as he journeys to the university to learn from the masters. Kavoth is searching to learn how to speak the name of the wind and find out who killed his family and avenge them. Told in flashbacks by a mysterious innkeeper, we find about the struggles and the losses he encounters as he embraces his newfound family and is thrust into a rivalry. The River by Peter Heller is going to be number 4. The River is a story about the wilderness, friendship, and mystery. When two college friends go on a canoe trip up the Canadian River, what they encounter is not what they signed up for. Navigating a forest fire, they are thrust into fighting for their lives. Peter Heller paints a beautiful friendship between Jack and Wynne, and his lyrical prose leaves you wanting more and more. Next up, number 3, The Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. This mystery thriller follows a father and daughter who are surviving alone in the North Appalachian woods. When someone unexpectedly shows up at their front step and another person missing, this world begins to unravel and true intentions are shown. Kimmy brings to life how grief can affect our lives and how desperately we as humans are in constant need of grace. Number 2, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Set in a post-apocalyptic America, we follow a father and his son as they travel through the wasteland. This story is filled with love, death, and survival. With a controversial writing style, Cormac McCarthy has given us a beautiful story displaying the love of a father and how much he is willing to sacrifice to protect his child. Okay, before we move on to my number 1, again in true Jordan fashion, I have a few honorable mentions. First, A Wizard of Earthsea, the classic coming-of-age fantasy book, first in the Earthsea cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin. The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, the history book of his legendarium. Salem's Lot by Stephen King, a vampire novel set in the eerie Maine town of Jerusalem's Lot. And The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, another great fantasy novel, part of a large world. And number 1 is World War Z by Max Brooks. World War Z is all about the zombie war that has ravaged Earth. Told from many points of view, from a wide array of characters, Brooks delivers tales that show the beginnings of the outbreak, right in the middle of it, and how the world has regained control and won the war. Also, the beginnings of rebuilding. World War Z is a brilliantly laid out story in an unconventional format. Alright, this has been my top 10 books of all time. However, I have a feeling as I continue to read more and more, this list will shift and change often. And you know what? That is okay. Let me know what your top 10s are down in the comments below. Hey, thanks for taking this time to hear what I have to say. I'll catch y'all later. God bless.